In our last video, we created our Jasmine boilerplate. Now we need to start planning out how we're going to structure our tests and our source code. The common way to do this is to create two separate folders. So I'm going to create one folder called spec, which is an abbreviation for specification, and I'm going to create another folder called scripts. In our spec folder is where we're going to put our tests, and our scripts folder will contain the source code that we're going to be running the tests against. So now I'm going to right-click on the spec directory and create a new file called calcspec.js. So new file calcspec.js. And now I'm going to right-click on the scripts directory and create a new file there called calc.js. And then we need to reference these in our index.html file. But just to make things a little bit easier to understand, I'm going to separate things out with comments. So the first comment I'm going to put is to load the Jasmine framework. And then once the Jasmine framework is loaded, I can load our scripts. And we're going to write a small JavaScript-based calculator and run some tests against that. So let's load our calc.js file from our scripts directory. Notice that this HTML file doesn't actually have a body element. That's because it's not strictly needed. It's still perfectly valid HTML, and Jasmine will take care of that for us. And finally, we'll add a comment here to say load tests. And then we're going to load our calcspec.js file from our spec directory. Now again, the order is important. We need to load our source code, our calc.js, before we load the specifications. The reason for this is that any functions or objects that we define within the calc.js file will be referenceable inside our calcspec.js file. So that's the reasoning behind loading our source code before we load our tests. Now that we have that working, we're actually ready to start writing some tests, and we'll do that in our next video.